What's up, guys? Welcome to Mikey Yourself. And today's a special day. It's a good day. We're going classic. Damn it. So let's look at what we're talking about. We're throwing some white walls, 16-inch, 21-inch, and a DNA 60 spoke 21 by 3.5-inch wheel. Those are going on blue today. So we're going to get those things taken care of. I've got to go get these tires mounted and balanced. I don't, unfortunately, have those tools to be able to do the balancing. So off to the bike shop for that. But before I do that, I need to get our wheel well off because we're keeping that one. Okay, so it was a little bit of a beast to get off, but I finally got that rear tire off. I'll tell you, that probably hasn't been off, it seems like, in a while. It's very interesting. So the axle, the grease on there was very thick, like cakey. It wasn't like greasy, right? So like dirt, a lot of dirt and grime. Although the tires aren't old, at least as far as they got the little nubs on it. So I just got to find the date stamp, which I think it might be there. So if I remember correct, that means it was a 2022 tire. I believe that's the stamp. Anyhow, so that's the that tire's coming off. That one's going on there. This one's going to go here. The nice thing about this DNA 60 spoke wheel is it's sealed, so I don't have to worry about a tube. This one, I'm assuming, since the tire is so new, the tube should be good. Fingers crossed. And the guys will just swap it out for me. So let me get this all packed up in the truck, and we'll get it done. Now, I will say, I know some folks have some real heartburn over not having matching wheels, and I don't. So, here's the thing. For me, the style should be matching, like spoke and spoke. But I don't believe, this is again my personal opinion, I don't believe it has to be, especially on a bagger, because you don't see the real well. It looks great when you take that wheel of those bags off. Don't get me wrong, I think that style looks amazing, especially if you go to 18. But if you don't care, if it's not that big of an eyesore for you or whatever, then I say, live and let live, right? Personally, if I had kind of like a solid, alloy wheel or whatever, non-spoke, anything else other than a spoke, then I probably would have upgraded, changed out to a spoke wheel, just so at least that part does match. But I most likely I would have went to a stock spoke wheel. So yeah, to me, it's just not that big a deal. So if that's your first stop when you see me doing this, that, oh, Mike, you should have put that 60 spoke DNA wheel in the back too. 18-inch would have looked great. I totally 100% agree with you, but I'm not doing it. So yeah, let's get this off to the shop. Okay, so we've got our wheels back. Tires are on. So right up front, like the white walls, I'm sorry, that's the classic look. It looks amazing. Now, like I always tell you, when you have stuff pulled apart, that's the best time to clean things, because you can get your hands into areas that you normally wouldn't get to because of your saddlebags or whatever else is in the way. I am not changing this rotor, again, because this is the rear, so I'm not really concerned about it. But all that said, this thing is dirty as hell. I'm going to clean it up, so we'll take a look at what that looks like after I do it. So the way I'm going to do it is using sandpaper, and I'll step it through the system. I'm going to probably start off around, 400 grit or so, and then finish off probably in the between 2,000 and 5,000 grit. So you just want to get that all nice and polished up. Again, I'm not going to spend a ton of time doing it, but I want it to look better. And then with that off, I'll be able to get to the hub, which is super dirty. And what I like to do or use, and there are other people that have other ways of doing it, is first take a red rag, a shop towel, clean that stuff up, get all the grease that you can, then use your polishes or whatever. So if your spokes are bad, then you want to get on that with some steel wool. And then to use your polish, what I like to use, just because it's bigger than a shoelace, is I just use like an old shirt. I cut these strips about, I don't know, 1.5 to 2 inches wide, and it just covers more area. So you kind of work it like a rope or something like that, right? You just kind of go back and forth using both hands, and you just walk it through. So it's easy to get the hub. You just kind of, lay it over the middle of the hub, weave it between the spokes, and then just kind of rotate it as you can clean it. And that helps get things polished up. Again, this being hidden, you don't want to spend too much time doing it, but don't be lazy about it, right? So let me get that off. And then the one thing I will suggest is, even though I'm not talking about matchy with that stuff, is you definitely want to have rotors that match your wheels. The rotors that are stock on the Road King, these ones, won't look good on this. You can polish them up, they'll look a little bit better, but for the price, you can't beat these. I think they were, I want to say like, it was under $100, and you get 2 of them. But make sure that when you put these on, Loctite, torque it to spec, right? Super important. These are your brakes. Your life depends on it, so don't skip those steps. Good and tight probably works fine, but my suggestion is just go up by the specs. So let me go ahead and take care of business, getting that thing cleaned. We got to get that on the bike, and then we'll attack the front wheel, and we'll cover the things that are specific to putting a 21-inch wheel on a Harley. So I just wanted to take a quick second as I clean this rear rotor. And again, I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time on it because it's going to be hidden, but I want to just show you what, like, I just spent maybe 20 minutes going through sanding discs. And again, I actually only went up to 3,000 grit, but so this is, I just brushed this side with a Brillo pad to clean this side up. This is the inside. That's what you can do in 20 minutes. So you can make your old ugly rotors look good. You want to spend more time on it, again, hit it with the polishing bars or whatever. You can really put a good shine on it, totally chrome it out. Yeah, it all depends on how much time you want to dedicate to it. And like I said, this being the rear, I'm just not going to put that time in, but I wanted to show you what this could look like with a little bit of work. And again, you want to use your drill gun because it's much faster. All right, guys, we got the rear tire on. So again, this wasn't an instructional on how to put a tire on or off. It was really just upgrading or making a change to put white walls on. So I do recommend, once you get your tire up there and get it all situated, to clean your white wall using some good cleaner. There's literally a cleaner called White Wall Cleaner, so use that. It's really good. Wipe it down before you put your bags on, so that way it's just one less thing you got to worry about. Clean your exhaust pipes, whatever. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna get cracking on that front wheel now. All right, so I've already got the front wheel off, and I wanted to cover a couple of things because there are questions that I asked myself when buying my first 21-inch wheel. Is number one is, do you need to make any modifications? And the answer to that is technically, yeah, a little bit, depending on which route you go. So my understanding, and reading through a bunch of different forums and other guys that have done this, they say that if you're just doing 21-inch on the wheel, you don't necessarily have to put fender risers in. What they do, because it will rub, but what they do is they drill out the rear, so the back one, they drill it out, I think, to 3/8 of an inch. And what that does is it gives it a little bit of kind of play where they dip the front part of the fender a little lower, that pushes that rear end back, and they get just enough clearance. Now, that's your choice. I choose to go with the fender riser, and what that does is it does pick up your fender about an inch or so. So that's what this thing is right here. So depending on you know, what kind of fender you got. So I'm keeping my stock one. So I need this style riser. If you're doing like a 21 inch or 23 inch, then there's a different, it's like a spacer because the fender doesn't do this. So they have that. And if you want to just go straight up, there is another one that's flat, like a flat plate. I haven't seen them in chrome. I only saw them in black, so it didn't fit my needs. So again, I went with this. This is what I used when I had my soft tail. So, and it's chromed out, so it looks good. That's what I'm going to go with. As far as like spacers and all that, so you use the spacers that came off of your front wheel when you take it apart. You don't have to replace your rotors. You can use the stock ones if you want to. But again, even with cleaning them up like I did the rear, they're not going to look as good because the flow of the lines just doesn't make sense. Where something like this, where it kind of looks like a spoke, kind of goes with the spoke, right? There are different kinds of rotors. On my soft tail, I had circles instead, and it looked great with the 21-inch wheel. So it's really all about preference. It's up to you. And, you know, it doesn't have to be in it for everything. You may say, you know what, I don't have the money right now, so I'm going to use the stock rotors. That's cool. Doesn't matter, right? It's all about what you want. And as long as you're happy with what your bike looks like, good on you, right? So at this point, now all I have to do is throw this front wheel on. Actually, I take that back. I've got to put the spacers on, throw the front wheel on, put the brake calipers back on. You don't have to change your brake calipers. You don't have to move them or anything like that. Again, this is for 21 inch. I think for 23 inch, I could be way off. It's a different game because it's such a larger wheel. So that's something you would have to do your own research on. But for a 21 inch, it's pretty straightforward, and I love the way it looks. So let me get this all on, back together, and we'll get it outside so we can take a nice look. So I wanted to just kind of jump in really quick before I put everything together and just show you what these risers look like when installed. Just because sometimes it's hard for folks to picture, and when you're looking at photos on Instagram or whatever, you're trying to zoom in, you're like, man, am I getting the right ones, all that. So there was a little like kind of indent. That's what goes to the bottom, and now you're looking at it and you're like, well, Mike, that's not as flush as that. So what happens is your fender is going to go on the outside of that, right? And then they give you a nut and bolt setup. It's nylon lock nuts. So you just go ahead and put those in, and that'll lock things in place. And these ones have like just an Allen bolt that goes in there. Loctite, 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 right? Like, make sure you get that all squared away. But that's how those fit. So it's very, very simple. You can't put them on upside down. It would be extremely difficult to do it. So yeah, that's what they look like.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong. I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud.
So there it is, the finished product. Looks amazing. Like I said, the white wall on the back really complements things. You don't necessarily have to upgrade your whole wheel if you have a matching spoke kind of thing. But again, totally up to you. It's all about your taste. But yeah, this makes a huge difference. You can see how the risers fit there. And those white walls just give it that classic look. Again, shooting for the Cholo style on this, and we're getting closer, right? A couple more things that need to be done, but there you go. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video. It is hot as heck in this garage, so I'm gonna wrap this up. As you saw, the Road King looks amazing. Really getting that Cholo look going. Couple of things that I still want to do to that bike, but yeah, it looks awesome. I don't know what it rides like just yet. I would imagine that if it's anything like my Softail was, that it's gonna ride just fine. I really didn't notice a difference when I did the 21 inch on my Softail, so I'm expecting not to see much of a difference with this one. One of the things I did forget to point out as I was talking about those risers are some folks do get concerned because you're lifting that fender up about an inch, that if you hit a hard bump or something like that, that you may, your passing light bar may come down and hit your fender. That is a possibility. I would imagine necessarily under, like, mostly the best chances of that happening would be if you're under one of two conditions. One is you have a blown seal. Absolutely possible with the blown seal. Even stock height blown seal will do it. The other thing is if you have your front end lowered. So if you've dropped it like that 2-inch drop or whatever through the slammer kit or something like that, then absolutely you've dropped your forks 2 inches and then you raised your fender up 1 inch. So you're really, looking at like a 3-inch drop. So it is very possible for you to hit that. So those are things to consider. If you're making that change. I've seen guys put an intentional dent in the fender to avoid that, or you can go wrap around that, which really hugs that wheel very, very snugly. So, those are all options. I don't have to worry about it, or at least I don't believe I do. I don't have any blown seals right now, and I haven't lowered the front of my bike, so I think I'm going to be fine. But more to come, right? As I get some time on this, it will be presented on one of the weekend reviews of the installed products, right? I hope you enjoyed the video. Just so you know, the products, I'll list them in the description. They're Shinko tires. It's a DNA 60-spoke front wheel. And the rotors I got off of Amazon. So as Shade Tree Surgeon calls it, Buddy Bezos hooked me up, right? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that thumbs up. If you enjoy this content, become a subscriber. I'd love to have you as part of our community. And if you don't want to miss out on the next video, hit the notification bell. If you don't want to get bothered by the notification, then don't hit the bell. But you definitely got to subscribe. It really, helps me out. And definitely would love to have you as a member of our community. Share your information, provide feedback, ask questions, and help me answer questions that I don't know the answers to. So it's really a true community thing. So until then, I hope to see you in the win.